listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome into the GM Shuffle. I am Geoff Schwartz alongside Marty. Hurney. GM Shuffle is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, it's before Thanksgiving. Maybe if you're listening on Thanksgiving. Also, we're going to cover all the games. You listen to it on Friday. We've passed 3 games, Marty. We have 1 Friday. We have a full slate on Sunday and Monday. We're here to preview all the games, to share our Thanksgiving stories. I never played on Thanksgiving, Marty. Of course, I played Thursday night, but never on Thanksgiving. I think I would have liked the early Thanksgiving game at home when I was, and then would have enjoyed eating the turkey afterwards. But other than that, have you participated in a Thanksgiving game as a general manager?
As the executive vice president of personnel at the Commanders in 2023, we played in Dallas. We lost 45-10. Spent the whole night, the flight back, rest of the night talking to owners and Ron, and basically had to get up Friday morning, and we fired our defensive coordinator. So that is my memory of playing Thanksgiving Day.
Marty, it's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun, Geoff, but I have several memories that go way back. That I maybe it's just the ones that you remember the most. But even when I was a fan, I was 18 years old, 1974, and big Redskins fan, big Redskins family, 3 older brothers, my dad, my grandmother, everybody was Redskin fans. Playing on Thanksgiving Day was a huge deal. Roger Staubach is playing, dating me back. He gets hurt late in the game. Redskins are up by 6. A guy named Clint Longley comes in. They have the ball at the 50-yard line with 40 seconds left. He throws a 50-yard touchdown pass to Drew Pearson. They win by 1. Cups were flying everywhere. I think a lamp broke. The whole family just went nuts. So, that was kind of the start of a Thanksgiving memories that kind of ended up in 2023.
Where'd you grow up? Where was that at?
Wheaton, Maryland. So right outside of DC, about 30 minutes outside of DC.
So you had Thanksgiving weather. See, I grew up in Los Angeles, so there was no Thanksgiving weather, Marty. Like, it didn't feel like Thanksgiving football I was watching until I moved here to Charlotte, where we do actually get, it's supposed to be like in the 50s tomorrow, like real Thanksgiving weather, where it actually feels like it's a special day where you're watching Thanksgiving football, right? Eating the turkey. And it's interesting that the Lions of all teams were the ones to start the tradition when they were bought, by George Richards, who was their first owner. He decided to play on Thanksgiving, thinking that it would lead to more ticket sales, and have people come. And also he had an agreement with NBC where he was able to, I think, air the games as well. Then the Cowboys decided with Tex Schramm to do that as well. They came into this because they thought it would be interesting to look this up. They thought it'd be a home field advantage, Marty, to play at home on a shorter week, which it probably was back when. It probably isn't now. Teams travel so much differently now. So that's why we get the Cowboys in that second slot, the Lions always in the first slot. And then, of course, they added the night game now, which will be the Bengals and Ravens. That rotates every single Thanksgiving. But I do think it is an advantage for the Cowboys and Lions to know when they're building their schedules that they have this home game on a short week on Thanksgiving, which allows them to have a little more preparation, right, for the next game, which happens to be in typically a playoff drive push situation. They do get the shorter game at home, right? When you play Thursday on the road, it's pretty taxing on the body. Now, again, NFL players are much better at recovery, rehab, prehab, all those little things, Marty, that it might not matter so much anymore. But back before we had better rehab techniques, you had to go on the airplane on a Wednesday. Your body would swell up on the road to play Thursday. And I would imagine that it probably is an advantage for the Cowboys, who've been better than the Lions all these years. Now the Lions get to host the Packers on a short week at home. So we'll talk about those games. But you mentioned bad Thanksgiving memories, and we don't want this to all be bad. But you, unfortunately, Marty, have had, as a general manager, some bad days on Thanksgiving. There was one in Carolina that I'm sure you will never forget.
Yeah, I mean, and that's when you're a general manager, when you're working for an NFL team or playing, Geoff, as you know, Thanksgiving's not really a holiday.
No.
It may be an early day off, but you're going in there extra early, right? You're getting in there early to have meetings. You have your practice earlier than you would, and maybe cut it down by a half an hour or so. And the attempt is to get players and everybody out by 1:30.
Yeah,
If you're lucky,
yeah.
2:00. If you're lucky, you'd get home in time to watch the fourth quarter of the Lions game, and then you'd watch the Cowboys game. But it's essentially a work day. And Carolina 1999, that morning, Ray Caruth got arrested for his alleged involvement in the shooting of his pregnant girlfriend. And of course, that just all the media, I mean, the whole day is spent just dealing with that type of crisis. And in 2022, I got a phone call around 7:00 at night that a player had gotten a DUI. So, you just never know what's going to happen every day in the NFL, and Thanksgiving's no different. I mean, it's still a work day for the people who are involved, who play, who coach, who are in the front office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so basically what happens is they flip Thursday and Friday's schedule, right? Friday, typically you get off about 1:00. There's no meetings after, and they just flip. So Thursday becomes Friday. Friday, you stay later and have your meetings you would normally have. And so you flip it around and families get used to that. I would imagine, though, on some of these special days like Thanksgiving, setting aside the Ray Caruth incident, that you do feel like players are going to be drinking a little bit, maybe. They're going to be out with friends and family a little bit. And there is that dreaded phone call that you might get for a DUI or for something bad to happen more on Thanksgiving than maybe on other days throughout NFL season. Did you always feel that way, like you were waiting by your phone for something bad to happen?
I felt every day like I was waiting by my phone for something bad to happen, Geoff. You know me, but it is. But the last 15, 20 years when Uber, and you had so many discussions. You had your security guy meet with the players, 2-3 times a year just to warn them about these things and how to handle it if you're out and having a couple drinks. So I do think it got a lot better. But you're always. I mean, when that phone rang, and that you'd be laying in bed at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and the phone would ring, and it wasn't going to be a good thing. It was either going to be something happened at work or something happened in your personal life. So you do live with that, but you deal with it, and everybody understands. Players are great; they understand the responsibility. Think they handle it very maturely. These Thanksgiving games are just exciting because of the tradition.
Yeah.
And for Detroit and Dallas, their organizations, their players, their families, they know the routine, right? I mean, I'm sure they've had the routine every year for decades. So I think it's good for them. And then, as you say, they get the extra 3 days rest.
They do get the rest, which is super helpful. The thing for players, Marty, on Thanksgiving is for the fat guys. Normally we weigh in on Fridays. That's the weigh-in day. And on Thanksgiving, what you have to do is go up to your strength coach a couple weeks beforehand. Hey, Jerry, can we weigh in on Thursday on Thanksgiving, please? Or can we get a couple pounds extra on Friday morning, please? That was always a discussion I had with Jerry Simmons, who's the Panthers, or whether it was Barry with the Chiefs, or whoever it was. It was always a discussion you had to have. Jerry with the Giants as well. Like, it was like, hey man, can please, like, I'm playing well. If I'm 3 pounds up on Friday because I had a good Thanksgiving, please don't find me for being overweight. I was fined only one time, Marty, in my entire career for being overweight. I was not overweight only one time. But one time with the Lions, my 9th year, I got fined being 1 pound overweight before training camp. It was a story I could tell another day, but I was not very happy about that.
I bet you
that was that one, and year 9, I'm 341 instead of 340, and my body fat dropped 3%. They told me if I dropped my body fat, Marty, I wouldn't get fined. I dropped my body fat, still got fined anyways. Nonetheless, we're not here to complain about $500 fines in the National Football League. But what are you grateful for as we head into this holiday weekend when it comes to the National Football League?
Well, when it comes to National Football League, I'm so grateful for all the people I was able to meet. And Jeff, you're there so much every day and you work so closely. You really form a lot of close relationships with people. And I'm not even going to begin to name the people over the years because I think it takes a different personality to put in the commitment and listen, that people in all professions work very hard and put in commitments. Our business, the week to week roller coasters that you go through, as emotional as it is, as public it is, you really start to form close attachments with the people you work with. I was fortunate enough to work with 3 organizations that just had excellent people in it, and the friendships will last forever.
Yeah. How do you, I would imagine, like, how was your relationship with the players? I know it probably varied between how good a player was, how much you like dealt with them, but do you still talk to players? Like, are you still friendly with the guys that you had to be close with? Like Delhomme, I would imagine you were close with, and some of the other Panther guys, or is that just more of a business relationship?
It had to be a business relationship. Listen, you like guys that, you're a human being, you like people. But at the end of the day, in the back of your mind, you're always saying, I might have to bring this guy up and tell him that we have to let him go one day, So I was very friendly. I talked to players,
Yeah.
but I didn't think it was my job to get close to the players. And again, if players had complaints about playtime or how things were going, I would always point down to the head coach's office because you had to have a united front, right? You had to have a united front. So while I talked and liked all the players, I never got really close. I thought that relationship between the head coach and the players was extremely important.
Yeah, I don't think I ever talked to the general manager outside of getting when I got cut a few times. You guys cut me when I was a rookie, but I knew I was happening because I was going to practice squad. So that was something that we covered beforehand. I got cut with the Lions at the very end of my career. I sort of felt that was coming. So I was in year 9. I was 30 years old. Like I just talked with Jim like we're talking now when I got cut. It wasn't like a bitter thing. I mean, you in the middle there, you sort of figuring out where you are in the NFL. You try to avoid the front office because that typically ends up being bad discussions to have. But a good discussion that we're going to have to start previewing these Thanksgiving games. We have major games, major movements here. We'll do that next. James Shuffle, presented by DraftKings.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
All right, we're back on the GM Shuffle. We have lots of games to get to. I do very much enjoy, Marty, my Thanksgiving spread. I do like turkey. I'm one of those weirdos that I think likes turkey a lot. Like that's my favorite part of maybe, the entire meal. I know people like the sides, and I deep fry my turkey, Marty. We do like a lunch I could eat all day and sort of pick at the turkey as we go through these NFL games here. Halftime of the Packers-Lions game, we'll get a first bite. Maybe about halftime of the Chiefs-Cowboys game, get a second bite. I'll play at it. I probably won't eat much after that, but I do enjoy my food throughout the day. And the first game here is Packers at Lions. Lions here by 2.5. Total here is 48.5. And, Marty, I think the theme of the NFL this year is sort of like, what the hell are these teams every week? Like the Lions to me profile better than they play in a given week. They're very up and down, and maybe that's part of like Ben Johnson leaving, and we're starting to see some of that effect offensively, where it's just not as crisp, Marty. Like as much as you try to mask it with changing play callers, and it is Dan Campbell's offense. It's just not as good, right? The offensive line not as good. The supposed to play rate not as good. I mean, think about their last 6 games: 30-17 loss to the Chiefs. 24-9 win against the Bucs, who don't look as good anymore. A loss to the Vikings. McCarthy, out of all players, played well in that game. The Commanders, you win by 22, and Daniels gets hurt in that game. You lose the Eagles. You beat the Giants 34-27 in a game that, remember, Marty loved what the Giants coaching staff did in that game. But it's just not been a great 6 weeks for the Lions. And the Packers, we both don't believe in, Marty. We don't believe in the Packers. So what do you make of this game here between the Lions and the Packers?
I like the Lions a lot, and again, I think good teams go in lulls in the middle of the seasons. The year we got to the Super Bowl under John Fox, I remember we were like 5-0, 6-0, and then we lost the game, and then we had Tennessee at home and just got boat raced, and everybody was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And we got it back going together again. We clinched the division in Arizona. We used the last 2 games of that season. Dan Henning I still give him credit for how far we went in the playoffs because he knew that the playoffs were a quarterback tournament. So we threw the ball more of those last 2 games and got to the Super Bowl. But I just think that Detroit at home with all their team speed. I mean, they are fast on both sides of the ball. Jeff, I think a reason we don't give Detroit as much credit as they deserve, because I still think you could argue they are the best team in the NFC right now. But probably have to have the Rams ahead of them, but they're very close with the Eagles in second place. But I think the reason we probably don't give them as much as we do is Jared Goff is a very efficient quarterback, played very well in that system, but he just isn't he lacks the feet to escape trouble. He's not really good off script. He's a very good on script, stay in the pocket, go through your progressions type quarterback, but he's not that dynamic, quick-footed escape type quarterback that we're so used to right now. And I think he's a heck of a quarterback, and I think they got a lot of weapons on offense. I like them here. I do worry about the Green Bay pass rush. I do worry about Micah Parsons getting Goff off the spot, but I like Detroit.
Parsons has certainly played better the last couple of weeks, but the Lions' offensive line has not been as good as in the past. And the thing about Parsons and what makes these pass rushers so tough, and actually it's what I admire maybe most about Myles Garrett, and we'll get to the Browns in a few minutes, is, but like Parsons moves everywhere. He moves around the entire line of scrimmage. Myles Garrett kind of doesn't, which makes his accomplishment even better. But Parsons will find, the left guard, the right guard, the center, like whoever the weak link is, and try to find a way to rush over them. Plus, they'll make a situation where it is one-on-one, right? They'll put 5 guys across, so you can't double team, and then you can't game plan for where that player is going to be, and that makes it tough. And Parsons played well the last couple weeks. A couple notes here, though. Teams on short rest off overtime, which is a situation, just 24, 47-3 against the spread in the last 20 years. It's a tough spot to be in, right? Lions off overtime, Chiefs off overtime. So just worth mentioning that that is historically been a spot to fade a team. I'm not saying you have to, but a spot to fade a team. The Lions have been bad on Thanksgiving, but that to me doesn't even matter because they were bad for so many years. What is that? That doesn't matter for this game. Also worth noting, Dan Campbell, exceptional against the spread after a loss, 19-5-1. They do tend to bounce back. I would lean Lions here ever slate. To your point, the explosive nature and off. Dude, is Jahmyr Gibbs the best player that we don't really talk about being the best player in the NFL? I mean, he's electric. You get him the ball.
I loved him coming out.
It's just gone, man.
I mean, that draft class for running backs, with Bijan Robinson and Devon A-Chain, and there were a lot of backs. Jahmyr Gibbs was right there with up top. I thought he was a top 15 pick. Just a dual threat. How do you stop him? I mean, run the ball. He's so explosive, catching out of the backfield. I just don't know how you really contain him. You have to. It's going to be interesting to see what the Packers' plans are. But you talk about the Lions' record, Jeff. They didn't win a Thanksgiving game from 2004 to 2012. So they went eight years, and that's a long time not to win on Thanksgiving Day. So, but I think it's going to be different here. I think they're a different team.
They are a different team. If you like what you're hearing here in the GM Shuffle, is even more VSiN Pro, betting splits, power rank, sharp analysis, all for $9.99 your first month. Go to vsin.com, subscribe, and check out all the subscription options. The next game, Marty, Chiefs at the Cowboys here. Cowboys are getting 3.5. I mean, Chiefs are favored by just a field goal and a touch here. A total of 52.5. The Chiefs, man, they confound me. Maybe because I'm too close, Marty, but their numbers are good. They're number one in the NFL on offense in getting a first down, right? They score on a large majority of their offensive possessions. They don't always score touchdowns, which is a little worrisome, right, in this game. Cowboys defensively have picked it up since a couple of additions, right, with the Williams and Overshown. Trey Smith, I believe, is out for the Chiefs, which is a loss for them offensively, but they committed to running the football, which is important. The Cowboys will have to rely on Dak Prescott on this game. The Chiefs do not allow a ton of rushing yards. I don't expect that to be a matchup the Cowboys will exploit in this game. Can the Chiefs pass defense hold up, Marty? I think we get a lot of points in this game. I actually lean toward the Chiefs covering this number as much as I'm unsure about them. The public's going to be all over Dallas. They just had that big comeback win. The Chiefs were kind of sloppy in a close win against the Colts. No one really buys the Colts anymore. I think the Chiefs understand the situation. If there's a team who's prepared to play in this spot, it's Kansas City. I trust their coaches have to have their team ready to play in this game. I do lean Chiefs here to cover this number and win Marty.
Yeah, I just like Dallas with the points. I think the Chiefs have a good chance to win a game. And this one's really tough for me, Geoff, because if these two teams were playing other teams, I'd probably take both of them because I like the trajectory that both are in. I think that the Chiefs are just going to be a very hard out each and every week. But I think Dallas has really improved and played much better since the addition of Quinnen Williams, since the trade deadline. Their defense is playing better. Their offense can score with anybody. This is going to be a last possession game, I think. I mean, to me, whoever's got the ball in their hands last wins this game, in my opinion. I think both teams are playing extremely well. You're right, Steve Spagnuolo is not going to let the Cowboys run on them. He's going to make them one-dimensional, but they have a lot of weapons in the pass game. I think it's going to be high scoring, and I think it's going to really come down to who's got the ball last.
DraftKings has a Thanksgiving specials tab. It's just like a blinking red light for me, Marty. I clicked on it. I went all the way to the right here. Kicking and special teams. Most combined field goal yards made for the day on Thanksgiving. I took Brandon Aubrey at 3.5 to 1. He makes a lot of long kicks. He's very accurate. And with the Chiefs defense, I think you just kick the ball. Now, the only problem is, against the Chiefs, a lot of teams attempt fourth downs because you expect the Chiefs to score. And so maybe that's a problem for me in a situation where teams go for a little more on fourth down. But I thought it was worth the money there to take a peek on that. One more Thanksgiving game. It's the Bengals and the Ravens. To me, this game is more about who's playing maybe than maybe the actual result. The Ravens favored by 7 here. Joe Burrow will play in this game. Ja'Marr Chase back from suspension, and T. Higgins out with a concussion, Marty. Is it the right move for Joe Burrow to come back this season or really come back this early?
I've gone back and forth. And listen, when you say come back this early, the doctors, they're not going to let him take the field unless he's ready, right? And you're saying, okay, they're out of it. Why would you put him in there and risk other injury? You have to find out if he can hold up, right? You have to have him go out and play. And I think it's going to be very hard to come out. He's going to take a while to shake off the rust, but it's also going to be, I would think, a real boost for the rest of the team, the offensive line, the receivers, to have him back, even though Joe Flacco's played extremely well in his place. But, my initial thoughts were, why are they playing him? But you have to play him. I mean, he's your guy. You have to go out. You can't be afraid that he's going to get hurt. You have to go out and see if he can hold up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's a tough for me, Marty, because I that offensive line, I just don't trust it, and the Bengals, just their failure to address that has been a problem. Now they don't play a ton of great defenses, right? They play the Ravens twice. The defense is fine. The Bills can't stop a nosebleed. They play the Dolphins. The Cardinals have some pass rush. They play the Browns to end the season, which obviously Myles Garrett is sort of lurking right there. And I think you want to feel a little bit of confidence in Joe Burrow and that offense heading into the postseason. You're right. They're out of it. I don't think they're crazy enough to believe that they have a chance. Even though they're not actually out of it. No one's, even Tennessee's not been eliminated from the postseason yet. But there is no actual reason for him to play other than just the confidence of this offense. Do you have any thoughts on this number here? Ravens favored by 7.
Yeah, I can't touch the game. If if I had to bet, which I'm not going to, I like the Bengals, I guess, taking the 7, but I have no feel on this game at all.
Too many points, in my opinion. I would take Baltimore plus, the Ravens, the Colts. I can't even talk right now. The Bengals plus the 7 points. Jeez, man. Whew. I would take them because these games tend to be close, and the Ravens, I don't know what they are right now. What I do know is we're going to preview more games. Do that next. The GM Shuffle presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
We're back on the GM Shuffle. Friday night, Marty, Friday day, Black Friday game, 3 o'clock Eastern here. Eagles hosting the Bears. Eagles favored by 7, total 44.5. Marty, this number jumps out to me for many reasons, right? So these teams are 8-3. And what did Parcells famously say? You are what your record says you are until you play another team who's 8-3 and you're a 7-point underdog. I mean, this number is screaming out that the Bears are not in the same class as the Eagles, right? They're 22nd in efficiency. The Eagles are in the top 10 in efficiency. Yes, the Eagles have problems offensively. They absolutely do. If they're not running the football, they're not making a lot of plays, enough plays. They threw the ball well early in the Dallas, but not enough plays really to win games like that. But the Bears don't stop the run. And I really think with Saquon Barkley, only 10 attempts last week for 22 yards. To me, he becomes a focal point on a short week of what the Eagles want to do, reestablish the trenches, the line of scrimmage, reestablish the pounding, thunderous run game they've had over the years, and really take it to the Bears, shorten the game up a little bit. I don't know if I think the Eagles are going to cover 7. I like Barkley over 71.5 yards. This number, Marty, tells me that the books are telling you that they're both 8-3, but they're not the same 8-3.
I think the most intriguing matchup here is coaching-wise, Vic Fangio versus Ben Johnson, Geoff, because I think that Caleb Williams, and I'm higher on Caleb Williams than maybe a lot of people, but he has had 5 fourth-quarter comebacks this year in his second year, and I think has shown week-to-week growth under Ben Johnson. But he is best with unscripted plays. He's best when things break down and he gets out. Well, Vic Fangio, I think, is going to send all kinds of pressure against him to try to get him out of the pocket, but also contain him and get him flustered. And I think that that's going to be one of the keys to the game is can the Bears withstand the pressure that the Eagles will put on them and on their young quarterback, Caleb Williams. I think Vic Fangio is going to do everything he can to disguise coverages, to bring pressure, and to confuse Caleb Williams as much as he can.
Yes, and those sim pressures, man, like they're hard. They're hard. I think you want to try to get you have to attack Williams, but also have a plan, obviously, for attack when he does leave the pocket and make sure he doesn't beat you that way. Talk about Williams quickly, Marty. We're entering sort of that end of the third quarter with him. I really think that he has done a great job of improving throughout the season to where you can sort of see the vision now on what he can be. Bears fans are excited as they should be. He's playing better each and every week. I've been impressed with Williams. What have you seen from him?
Same thing I saw in college, Geoff. He has got phenomenal physical ability, and he's got the instincts. When things break down, he keeps his eyes downfield. He's always looking, kind of going through his reads, and he finds open guys. And he is at his best when things break down. Now, in the pocket, you wish the accuracy was a little bit better. You wish the choices sometimes were a little bit more consistent. But I think this guy's got, when I saw him in college, I thought he would be the next generational quarterback. And I think that getting with Ben Johnson, like we've said at the beginning of the year, he's just going to keep getting better and better and better. So I am a big Caleb Williams fan, and I think he's done a great job this year. Listen, when young quarterbacks don't win games late. We always say, oh, how many games has he won in the fourth quarter when they were behind? This guy has 5 fourth quarter comebacks this year, which is huge to me. And I just think he's got all the ability in the world.
Making our way to a Sunday game here. We didn't get a chance to talk much about Shedeur Sanders on Monday, but he's the starting quarterback again for the Browns, who host the 49ers off that Monday Night Football win. The number is 5.5. The Niners are favored by the total keeps plummeting. I see 36.5 now, Marty, because the forecast in Cleveland on Sunday, high of 38, windy with rain and snow showers, winds 20 to 30 miles an hour. So it is an ugly day in Cleveland on Sunday. Have you had a chance to really watch Sanders at all from the Raiders game? And what are your thoughts about him?
I have watched him, but I haven't studied him. And he really did a lot of things he did in college. And again, he's another one that if he can get out of the pocket and buy time, he's much better than sitting in the pocket. He still has to improve on his accuracy. But I thought for his first start, I thought he played well.
You know what was crazy is the social media accounts were posting the screen pass, the bubble pass that was a touchdown. They threw for -3 air yards, and there were all these tweets like, "Look at this rookie first touchdown in NFL for him." It's like the much better throw was the 52-yard pass to Bond outside the pocket. Right, he got out of the pocket,
no question,
saw zero pressure. It was a great throw. We'll see what he does. Obviously, now with the second opportunity. Any thoughts on this one? I lean to Browns here just to make this game as ugly and as gross as possible. Niners short week. Marty? How much longer can Christian McCaffrey keep this pace up? Did you draft him? Were you in Carolina?
Dave Gettleman drafted him the year before, and then I extended him in Carolina before they traded him the following year.
Okay.
And we could talk. Jeff, we could talk for weeks about the 49ers. How do they keep doing this? I mean, really, they have had so many key injuries, and I just think Kyle Shanahan deserves so much credit. But, Christian McCaffrey is just, listen, the concern I know after I left, the concern was, can Christian McCaffrey hold up? Well, listen, he can hold up, and he takes care of himself and has a work ethic that is as good as anybody in the league. And I just think the guy is so multidimensional. He has kept them afloat. He really has. I just don't see how they keep playing at the level they're playing with all the injuries they've gone through. When you lose your star pass rusher and your linebacker, but you still got to play. It's the NFL. You still got to be who you play every week. And I just think the 49ers have done a phenomenal job with all the challenges they've had this year.
McCaffrey's got nearly 300 touches already, and they still have 5 games left because they have a bye here. They have a late bye. They have not had a bye yet. They play the Browns and they get a bye. So get out of there with a victory. I tend to lean toward the Browns here to make this an ugly game with the weather, but I don't think the Niners are really in any danger of losing here. An AFC South matchup that really fascinates me, Marty, is the Texans at the Colts. The Texans are getting 4.5 points here against the Colts, who, Marty, look, I sort of held out and said, I kind of want to see Daniel Jones down the stretch a little bit. I want to see what it looks like when it matters a little bit more. I want to see what it looks like when things don't go as well. And teams are figuring out if we stop the run, sell out to stop the run, Jones is not going to play the same. He's been sacked a bunch more lately, hit a bunch more lately. The game plan against the Chiefs was very conservative because I think they're figuring out that if you make the ship out of Daniel Jones, it's not going to go very far. And I have a lot of concerns about the Colts against this Texans defense that is outstanding. This defense does everything well. They rush the passer, they stop the run, they intimidate opposing offenses. They're off a little extended rest, Marty, as we know, because they played on Thursday night. I like the Texans a lot in this game, maybe too much considering how my record has been this season. What are your thoughts about Colts and Texans?
Well, they're really in trouble, Jeff, because they're one of my best bets along with Detroit and Dallas, Houston. I love the Texans in this spot, getting 4.5. I think that you're right. They take Jonathan Taylor out of the game. They pressure Daniel Jones. And I think it's still up in the air whether Davis Mills or C.J. Stroud is going to play quarterback. But to me, that doesn't matter a lot to me. I like Davis Mills. I watched him at the year before he came out, I guess his junior year at Stanford. And listen, this guy is a pure passer. He's accurate. He's got a strong arm. He goes through his progressions and reads downfield. The one negative on him is he doesn't have great feet. He does not have good short area of foot quickness and can struggle getting away from pressure. So that's going to be one of the keys from the Texans. But I just think that this is probably a low-scoring game, and I think the Texans cover the 4.5.
Look, not all of us are fleet of foot, Marty. Some of us have short area foot quickness. So I understand the problem that Davis Mills has. No one would describe me as having short area foot quickness. Look, the Colts by opponent season win percentage, 500 or better. They're 2-3. They allow 25 points to score 25 points, and they've turned the ball over 9 times. When they play a bad team under 500, they're 6-0. They score 35 points. They only allow 17, more yards per game, obviously, and only 3 turnovers. So, look, it's kind of catching up to them. And I think that even with Davis Mills, there is something, Marty, to understanding what you are as a player. And I think Davis Mills knows what he is as a player, and they tailor the offense to him, right? Like, he's not trying to run the football. He's not trying to do too much. He's staying in the pocket. He's getting the ball out quickly. He's handing the ball off when he should, obviously. Like, that's part of the game plan, of course. But he's just not doing dumb things that are outside of what he does best. So I appreciate sort of that in him so far in his short time. Look, they're 3-0, right? I mean, they won 3 games in a row with him.
Yeah.
Quickly here, because we have an opportunity to talk about the Cardinals and Bucks here. Because look, the Bucks, 3 losses in a row, Marty. They're teetering at the top of the AFC South here. Cardinals coming in off another horrific loss. They're favored by 3 is Tampa Bay. Is that Baker Mayfield? We don't know his status quite yet, but more importantly, we have about a minute here, Marty. What do you make of this Bucks backslide? Kind of surprising. Really defensively, to be honest with you. I thought their defense was better than this.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, again, I think I said Monday is I don't think Baker Mayfield's 100%. He's taken a lot of hits. Whether he plays this week or not, he's still going to be playing with that rib, and it's going to affect his play, I think, sometimes. That the Tampa has played some good teams during that streak too. So I still think that they're the team to beat in the NFC South. And Todd Bowles does a great job defensively. I think they're going to be fine.
They got it. Look, lucky for them, the Panthers probably won't keep up in the division, and so they'll be able to try to find a way to get through without Mayfield. If he's out for a couple weeks, rely on your run game with Bucky Irving back at some point, you hope, and then sort of make that push late as you get healthy. We'll talk some more games, including a big game in the NFC and the big game in the AFC. The next. Geoff, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Back on the GM Shuffle here, we'll give you our best bet in just a few minutes here. Marty, a game that I'm more fascinated because I want your take on J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings are at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 11.5. The Seahawks are going to blow the Vikings out. Max Brosmer's going to start. I just don't see how this game is close. But that's not really the point of this discussion because, okay, I want to talk about McCarthy, Marty. Look, he hasn't played well. He's out right now. But some of the comments he's made, I'd love to get your opinion as a general manager. He's talked about, he has his alter ego 9. He talked about rewiring his neurological pathways. He talked about, the footwork and the style of play is not what he learned in college. If I was advising him, I'd tell him to shut up and stop talking like that. I think I don't know if I've said this before, like, I don't care what you do to get ready to play in a football game. You could do the weirdest stuff of all time. I don't care. Your job is to show up on Sunday and help us win a football game. That's the way the locker room is wired. You might disagree with the guy's lifestyle, but they came out and score 3 touchdowns. High five, dude. Great job. Do whatever weird shit you want to do. That's the way we're wired in the locker room. I had a sports psychologist for most of my NFL career. I certainly didn't tell the general managers I ever had a sports psychologist, but I had one that I used, right? I didn't tell nobody, but so plenty of players have these people in their lives, and it's totally fine. I think you should have a sports psychologist. You should have someone to talk to. You should have different ways to prepare for football, but a lot of us just want you to go out and perform, Marty. And McCarthy hasn't performed, and he's talking about different ways he prepares. If you're a general manager and your quarterback talk like that, would you have a discussion with him, his agent, his representative? Like, what would that relationship be like when he's not playing well? And he's not making excuses. He's certainly not making excuses, but he's talking about sort of how he's going to get better, but we're not really seeing that on the field.
And he sort of is making excuses when he says the footwork's different in college. And to answer your question, I would call the agent first, talk to the agent, and then I think if it kept being an issue, I would suggest that myself and the head coach both sit down with him and say, listen, you're a leader, and we realize this is your first full year of playing, and there's going to be some ups and downs. We drafted you for these reasons because of your leadership ability, because of your accuracy, because of your mind and being able to process what we throw at you. It's going to take some time. It takes game reps to do it. But so right now, until that happens, like you said, Geoff, just be quiet. Don't go into the people don't care about all that if you don't go out and play well. Listen, JJ McCarthy, there were guys who liked him better than I did. I had him a little lower in the first round. I thought his release was a little long, but I did love how he played the game from the head up. And he's got legs. He's got the ability to scramble and make plays when nothing's there. I want to give him more time. I know that you're not a fan right now, but I think I want to wait for another year or two before I make a decision on him.
Well, look, it's certainly not fair to judge his entire game log of 6 or 7 games like with anything other than just what it is. He's a young quarterback, but I just don't like the comments. Like, that's what I don't like. And again, let me be very clear. If the way that you prepare to play football is rewiring your neurological pathways, good for you. Like, plenty of players do that. But then, the press conference talk about, like, he walks the dog, he takes 10 mental reps. Bro, we don't care. I did the same thing. Like, I work on my footwork. Like, when I walk to the bathroom, like, I'll be like, no one cares. Just play well on Sundays, right? Like, that's your job, is to play well on Sundays.
Just win.
That's your number one job. Just win, and help your teammates win. Because again, I mentioned, like, look, we play the game for a lot of reasons. Obviously, there's many reasons why. I tell people, like, I just played till someone told me I couldn't play anymore. I don't know. That's how my career was. Till someone told me I couldn't play anymore. I love football. I watch every second. I was watching UMass 0-11 last night play Bowling Green. I just like watching football, Marty. I've always been a football fan. The money's good. Certainly, it took me 7 years to make any money. Like, it takes time to do that. But the number one thing that makes this fun is winning. The number one thing. You grind all week, and that 15 minutes between the time the game ends, you walk up the tunnel, you celebrate in the locker room, your coach gives you an attaboy, and you split it. Like, that 15 minutes right there. The owner comes in and gives you a high five. Good job, Schwartz. Like, that's the best 15 minutes of any week, right? Like, that's what you strive for. And so, that's all we care about. It's all we care about in the building, is that feeling.
And that's what bothers you, I think, so much about this, because it's all about I. It's all I talk. And there's no I in team, right? I mean, the corny saying, but it's about we. And I wish he had more we statements than about, what he's doing. Okay. It's about how they are growing as a team and how he is growing into the offense. And he certainly has one of the best quarterback gurus with him. And I think that's going to help him.
I believe Kobe Bryant, very famous, he said, there's a me in team though. So, which is great, because when you're one of the best ever, you can get away saying there's a me in team. All right, Steelers host the Bills. Steelers are again 3.5. That means the Bills are favored by just over a field goal. Pittsburgh is kind of, the luster's falling off. Maybe Rodgers plays, maybe he doesn't. But the fact is, Marty, this defense is how the Colts game essentially sort of picked up a little bit. They've kind of been terrible on defense since then. The run game is hit or miss. Their pass game is not great. Um, I think the Steelers is a spot we've sort of always taken Mike Tomlin home underdog, but I can't back the Steelers in this game. I just don't think they're very good. But Buffalo has their problems on run defense, and without Dalton and Kincaid in the lineup, Josh Allen's not the same quarterback. He just is not, because the wide receivers aren't great, right? So when he's off the field, it's a different offense because they don't have the wide receivers to make up the difference. Kincaid's so important to them for that reason.
I agree, but and they're trying. They signed Brandon Cooks this week, and they added Gabe Davis a few weeks ago. They're trying to bring back as many guys as they can to see if they can get somebody that can separate and get open for Josh Allen. But that's been their problem right now is the wide receivers. And the offensive line has always been stout. They've had their ups and downs this year, a little bit more than normal. But I still think this offense has to go through Josh Allen and James Cook. And James Cook is similar to the skill set of Jahmyr Gibbs. Use him that way. Use him as an outlet. Use him as a receiver. And his ability to run the ball. I think that he's a weapon that they certainly have used more this year than they had in the past, but they need to use him even more. And then you've got to just keep trying to get a wide receiver combination that can separate and give Josh Allen an ability to hit guys when he doesn't have to roll out and things fall apart.
What do you do about the run defense? You just pray that it works in a given week. I don't know if there's any answers on the roster right now.
Geoff, I don't think that problem's just been this year. And I think what we've said in the last couple of years, I mean, that's kind of been their weakness on defense is stopping the run. So I think it's got to be a combination. When a problem extends over a period of time, I think you have to look at all the reasons why. And personnel certainly is one of them. But what can we do schematically? I mean, I go all the way back to Richie Pettibone, who was the master of the run blitz, and he could stop any running game there was by scheming it up and taking some chances. But having run blitz and guys in their gaps, and it's about gap control. So
Yeah.
I think that not being able to stop the run is a huge problem, maybe the biggest problem for the Bills. But I think it's a combination. It's just not personnel, I don't think. I think some of it's got to be schemed, doesn't it? You would know better than I would.
Well, yeah. I mean, one way to stop the run is score more points than the other teams. They have to pass the football. Like that's one way to do it. If you get a 10-point lead in the third quarter, teams tend to abandon the run game a little too much, in my opinion. I think the Panthers on Monday night did that. Like they just stopped running the football. The game was not out of reach. One thing I admire about certain offensive coordinators, and Sean McVay comes to mind often in this, is when the Rams are down in a game, they do not abandon the game plan at all. They stick to the game plan, they run what they have to do, because you have time in the NFL. There's time in any football to come back. Like you have time, run your offense, do what you need to do, make plays, run the football, still a way to make plays. It sets up play action pass. There's a physicality element to it as well. So keep the game plan going. But Buffalo gets up 14 points in this game. Then that takes the option of running the ball out of the hands of Pittsburgh here. Let's get to our best bets here, Marty, before we sign off for Thanksgiving here. What do you like?
Well, I've talked about mine. I like Detroit and Dallas on Thanksgiving Day for the reasons that I said. And then I really probably my best bet of the weekend's Houston plus 4.5. I think the Colts, I thought that was a positive showing last week, even though they lost. I thought they came and they played extremely hard and extremely efficient. But was that the game they were going for? Even though this is a division game, is there a little bit, just a tick of a letdown because they lost last week against the Chiefs? We'll see. I think the Texans are playing their best ball of the year. Their defense is probably the best in the league. Them in Cleveland, obviously. I think D'Amico Ryans is one of the best coaches in the league. I like the Texans getting 4.5.
What other ones do you have down here quickly? You like Dallas, correct? And the Lions as well?
Dallas plus 3.5, like we said, and I like the Lions minus 2.5. So And again, I Green Bay, I've probably badmouthed Green
Yeah.
Bay into the Super Bowl, as we said, but I like the Lions and I like the Cowboys.
I like 4 games. 2 of them are just as gross as possibly humanly possible. I like Tennessee to cover against Jacksonville. Why are Jacksonville favored by 7 over everyone? I don't know. It's 5.5 or 6, somewhere around there. I like the Browns plus 5.5 at home against the 49ers. I like Houston and I like Kansas City. We're opposite sides there. I think the Chiefs get done a lot of money on the Cowboys. I'm going to back my Chiefs, even though Marty, I don't really trust them quite yet. But what I do trust is that everyone has a good Thanksgiving with friends and family, watching football, eating whatever you like. Hopefully, you have a day off to just enjoy ball. And we'll be back on Monday, as we normally are, recapping what we saw from the eyes of a former player and me, a former general manager in Marty Hurney. Then we'll be back regular time Thursday to preview the games for the following week. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Talk to you guys on Monday.